Welcome to my BreadTube channel. My name is Carter. And today we're going to be talking about how Marx was bi. Left is when no jokes.
An entire society. It was hardly any communists, after all, who overthrew the Tsarist regime in Russia and instituted the many decades of vicious horror that characterized
Because the Tsarists were so based, brother. Oh my God, they were so based. They were so sick.
the Soviet world. All societies struggle with the problem of free riders, narcissists, Machiavellians, and criminals. All societies struggle to control those who build false, inflated reputations, who are willing to sacrifice others to their own selfish and narrow short-term interests, who will rob and steal to attain.
Oh, communists robbing and stealing notoriously. From who? From who, bitch? From who?
And, worst of all, who will burn everything to the ground just to gain the opportunity to dance demonically in the resultant ashes.
Brother, that was exactly the kulaks. They would burn the fields down to make the social programs look bad. The kulaks are probably the reason that so many people starved in the USSR, because they would burn the fields with and block the roads to make the state-funded like food programs look shitty, so that people had to rely and pay the kulaks instead of getting free food. You know what they had to do? Burn down the fucking the fields and stuff, so people were reliant on private and not public. And it's what happens today. I mean, the equivalent is like the national healthcare system in the UK, right? In the UK, the NHS was decent for a long time. And then you guys have had like obviously a lot of right-wing movements, and it's like very obvious what they do. What they do is these companies, because they go unchecked and you allow private sector to exist, well, these people just get a shitload of capital from like America or whatever, and then just offer these doctors money that they can't refuse, right? They can't refuse it. So then you start losing all the good doctors. These places will even operate at a loss and make the systems look worse by buying out all the shit, buying up land, less land for the national healthcare system, buying all the good nurses, by putting people through school as long as they work for the private institution, right? They underfunded it, yeah, because they believe it doesn't work, because that's why. Where do you think the underfunding comes from, right? The underfunding happens because the private industry has so much power to lobby or show that it's not working. Why do we need the national healthcare system? The private sector's handling it just well, right? They're doing it just fine. Like, we don't even need it, right? We don't even need it. It's like the whole point. They end up underfunding it because it's a fucking vicious cycle. The moment it works, it just a vicious cycle. Do you have any good books or resources? Yeah, just go to YouTube. You can look up Asatar Bear talks about it. Richard Wolff talks about the USSR. Zizek even talks about the USSR. There's tons of people. Noam Chomsky talks about the USSR, right? Read Liberalism by Ludwig von Mises. You know von Mises was a Austrian sympathizer, fascist sympathizer. Ludwig von Mises sided with the Austrian fascist, actually, and thought that they could do fascism better than the Nazis. We actually read a lot of Ludwig von Mises on stream because he was one of the biggest idiots in the world. Him and his buddy, who started the von Mises Institute, actually started an institute based on an ethno-state, meaning they wanted to train people to be fascist, to institute fascism, a fascist ethno-state, because they didn't think the Nazis were fascist enough. They thought that the Nazis affording social programs in the beginning to, white people was good. They thought it was good. And they were, or they thought that was bad. My bad. The Nazis did that, afforded social programs to the white people, or not the white people, anybody who wasn't Jewish, pretty much, anybody who was Aryan. And that's how they built a lot of support, right? They made life really good for the majority so that they could then justify killing the minority. The Austrian fascists, like your friend von Mises, by the way, literally wrote about how that was a bad thing to do because to each their own, bitch. You're doing fascism wrong. You can't even help your own people. Just fucking grind your way up, bitch. Just fucking grind it, okay? And when you get there, kill everyone. And if you can't, you have no value as a human. You have no value. Also, he was an extreme racist, bro. Like omega racist. Yeah, bro, say what you want. Listen, this is free speech territory. Un hombre libre. You can say whatever you want. No one's stopping you. Unless you say some like cringe shit, like racist. Doesn't Mises think we should be able to sell our kids? Yes. Oh no. That's oh god. That's same school of thought. The free market isn't racist. There's no such thing as a free market. No such thing. The free market enables people who are shitty. Racism is developed by capitalism. You understand that, right? That's a pretty basic concept. It's easier to exploit someone and pay them less if you can demonize them for an immutable characteristic. Why do you think we chose to enslave people of a different race in America? Why do you think Irish people weren't considered white for a long time, or Italians? Because when you can demonize somebody for the color of their skin, for their religion, for anything, it allows you to pay them less or treat them like shit, which is a byproduct of your free market. Whereas if we had just instituted an equality, right? Because we have the ability, we live in a post-industrialized world, right? We live in a world where you can make things. There is no scarcity anymore. It's all manufactured, right? What you can do then is they get the benefits of their profits. It's redistributed. That's the only way to get. There's no benefit in demonizing them. There's no benefit in dehumanizing someone, right? You feel a lot better treating someone like shit if you think they're less than you, don't you? I didn't enslave anyone. You didn't enslave anyone. Why are you taking credit for the race of the past? Because it's almost like the systems never really changed, did they? Do you not think things from 200 years ago echo out today? You said we, as a society, as a system, right? Yeah, Mises, Hayek, Friedman, Popper, Nozick, all dog shit. Also, do you not understand that modern economics, especially Mises and those fucking weirdos, libertarian economics, oh, I bet you didn't know somebody who actually knew who you were talking about. You tried to hit me with a name and think I didn't know what I was talking about. Don't worry, bro. I talk about this shit every day. I'd love to have a discussion on Discord. Sure, you're free to join it. Please. Please join. You're free to join Discord. Economics in the way that von Mises and a lot of other like fucking Hayek, all of them founded it was as a way to justify capitalism, right? Hey Carter, when did slavery end? It never did. It just changed forms. Why do you think that there's a vast majority of people in American prisons are people of color? Right? Because we instituted ways in our Constitution to continue slavery via the prison system. Look up Victoria's Secret. Prison system. It's crazy that once you put an incentive that people in prison can make money for corporations or for the government, it's almost like we start imprisoning people again. A lot. Right? It's fucked. Let's see what we agree or disagree on. I guarantee everything because you're probably a libertarian. You probably want to argue like the age of consent or something, or you have Asian wives, bro. I don't know. I'm not gonna. If you bring up the age of consent, I will hang the fuck up, bro. I'm just saying right now. If you are a libertarian, if you ever reference von Mises, you're a fascist in my book. Right? You're a fascist. You are. Why would you look up to the economics of someone whose economics centered around the idea of justifying fascism, right? I can make anything justify anything, but all we have is the real world to look at, right? Mises was not a Nazi. He was an Austrian We looked up this. Mises was actually an Austrian fascist. An Austrian fascist ended up becoming Nazis, not because they wanted to, but truly believed that they wanted to be more gruesome than the Nazis. His dad was a Nazi, yes. But they didn't like the Nazis. They didn't think they were fascist enough. They more subscribed to the Italian fascist. We did a whole rabbit hole on this on stream like last week, because there's this dude on TikTok who loves to say like, oh, von Mises, I've read economic books, and shows you like a ton of books by Nazis and shit, and you're like, yeah, that's cringe. Why are you referencing Nazis? Did you see because of inflation, the federal wage of $7.25 now is worth less than any time since February 1956 when it was 75 cents? That's insane. And even then, one person could afford a house and live. Just remember, companies are setting record profits, by the way. Free market, baby. Free fucking market, baby. Record profits, inflation through the roof. God, I love the free market. Holy shit, I love the fucking free fucking market, brother. High inflation leads federal minimum wage to reach lowest value since 1956. Yep. I think the Fed stepped in back then, though, to fix that problem, right? I'm pretty sure that's like 1956 would be the start of of labor movements in the United States. One of the biggest starts because of that. We're just sitting around jerking off now, but you guys want to see who else? Look at this fucking nerd. Okay, look at this fucking nerd. I gotta show you guys.
That's one of the reasons
TikTok,
Dan was
shut up.
in the new edition.
This fucking nerd references Von Mises and like all this shit. My man tries to claim Nazis are socialist.
All right, I really want to wrap up the whole is National Socialism thing, so this is going to be my last video on it for a while.
Bro, what is this fit? How far away from a school do you have to maintain? I just need to know. How far away from the school do you have to be? What's it say? What does it say? What's your piece of paper say? How many yards, bro?
Playlist you can check out, going over as many arguments as I can possibly find. But let's just wrap up a few of the very common arguments that appeared on my last video.
Okay.
This one referring to Jerma Bell's paper about privatization that happened in the National Socialist economy. That's this paper right here. But before we go into that, let's revisit what socialism is from a socialist. The Quintessence of Socialism by a Marxist sociologist and economist sought to find the best definition.
Why did you have to go to this? Why don't you ask the person, bro, you could just read Lenin. Because Lenin would say you're a fucking dumbass if you read one chapter of State and Revolution, you fucking idiot. My man is like, well, let's look to a book about socialism. Well, why don't you ask the dude who invented it, you fucking idiot? Or read it. Absolute fucking idiot. Oh my God, bro. This is what having zero brain cells does to a motherfucker.
Definition that broadly describes socialism. Remember, there's many different types of socialism, and it's not just Marxist socialism.
That's not true. There's many types of socialism. They're all Marxist, but different countries enact socialism differently because socialism is a state. It is a transitionary state, right? It is a state of existence. It is not a hard-lined anything. It is purely the growth of the working class into a government, anyway. Right?
He said the economic goal of socialism was to replace the system of private capital, the system that's regulated by society, by free competition, private enterprises.
Wait. To replace the system of private capital, i.e. the speculative method of production, by the free competition of private enterprises, by a system of collective capital that is a method.
Replace that with a system of collective capital, unified social or collective organization of national labor, on the basis of collective or common ownership of the means of production.
Admitted, thank you.
So basically, socialism is diametrically opposed to private property, private capital, etc. Now, what does Jerma Bell's paper actually say? The Nazi regime rejected liberalism and was strongly against free competition and regulation in the economy by market mechanisms. In other words,
no. He's before this dumbass says, because we're about to talk to someone who likes the same type of dude this guy is, right? That does not mean that it's socialist. Just because they want to do these does not mean it's socialist, because socialism does not mean no markets, right? It doesn't. The Nazis look to hyper focus control to one person, one little tiny bit, to hyper focus, not expand. Holy shit.
They were strongly opposed to capitalism.
He's like getting caught up on the word centralize from the definition of socialism that he read, not realizing that it's different when the central party is tiny and not the majority, right?
He talks about privatization, he says it's not the same as liberalization. The problem when socialists hear that word privatization is they automatically assume things which are not true. He said that privatization was applied within a framework of increasing control of the state over the whole economy. So what they're doing is taking nationalized industry.
But the state was run by a fascist, someone hyper-focused government, it was not for the benefit of the people, not under equality. It wasn't for, the workers did not own it, a fascist did, right? If the state is fascist, the state owning things is a fascist state, right? If the state is socialist and owned and operated by the workers, it is a socialist state, right?
Industries who are run by people in the government who are opposed to socialism.
Yeah,
and then they are
dictatorship of the bourgeois.
privatizing them and putting them into the private hands of socialist party members. And as Ludwig von Mises points out, in socialism, they highly regulated these
Hey, chatter. Who's supposed to join Discord?
is they automatically assume things which are not true. He said that privatization was applied within a framework of increasing control of the state over the whole.
Sergeant Switch, so you're okay with communist China? Bro, I wish fucking Xi Jinping would come down to America in his fucking, on his Chinese bald eagle, fuck Joe Biden and take over, dog, in a video game, okay? Because, yeah, I am. Yes, please. Holy shit. Please, dog. Please. Liberate us. What happens to billionaires in China? Hey, what country, developed country in the world, is the only one expanding the middle class, right? Which one? Oh, I can tell you. It's called China. Okay, give me 1 second, Libre. It's China. China is a fucked up country that does a lot of bad things and needs a ton of social progress. They do. China needs social progress, okay? They do. I agree. I'm there with you, right? They're not a melting pot like America, for sure. But the things that they are doing for the people of China would, if America took any of those policies or planned into the future, we would be the #1 country by a zillion years, okay? Because of our social progress, right? How's healthcare in China? Cheap as fuck. Cheap as fuck. Yeah, we're always waiting for the Uyghur shit, right? Even though it always gets disproven. What happens to streamers in China forced into the military? What happens to poor people in America forced into the military? That's crazy, isn't it? That's insane, right? Or prison. Crazy. Also, that's not true. You're not. Also, most European countries have you have mandatory military service. You fucking dumbass. Poor people go to prison. New one. Who do you think is in prison the most? It's poor people, you dumbass. Do you think are you fucking stupid? Prison is housing for the poor, where they do slave labor. Criminals. Dog, you belong in prison with that take. That's a criminal take. With how little fucking brain function you have. Holy shit. You need a re-education camp. Jesus Christ. Yeah, what causes people to do crime? No prisoners forced labor? Yeah, what are you talking about? Do you not know what the 13th Amendment is, dog? Huh? I want you to look up how Victoria's Secret does it. It's literally, it's written in our Constitution. The only amendments that matter are the first and the second. Can you hear me? Hello?